All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the recap. I'm Michael D'Angelo, joined as always by my partner in crime, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz, and I'm sounding even more sexy today, as you all can probably hear. It's cold and flu season, and it was Valentine's Day, so maybe I'm just trying to channel the spirit of Barry White, but, we'll see how this goes. How you doing, Big D? You staying healthy out there?
Surviving. I'm just now. I think we're switching out here. So I had the raspy voice last time. I think now it's your turn. We'll be all right.
No, I'm gonna just have to break into song every once in a while to
Go.
use the vocals out. But speaking of breaking into song, we had a interesting, I'll say uneventful. It was kind of an odd week in WWE, but we'll dive into it. Raw and SmackDown for this week. Big D, kind of take us through what happened on Raw. We had all the big changes last week. And this week really felt like it was just they were trying to get to Elimination Chamber, so there's a lot of qualifiers.
Yeah. So pretty much what Raw felt like was, all right, we undid Control Z, if you will, undid what we tried to do because everyone was pissed, so we changed it, and now they're like, oh crap, we got the Elimination Chamber in like a little over 2 weeks away, so they had to just kind of scramble at this point. And that's what it really did feel kind of like an off show. I feel like a whole lot happened, but not really. So kicking things off, one thing I will say that I enjoyed was the kickoff match, which was the Jey Uso and New Day against Imperium. That was a good one. We had talked about that one prior because, of course, Jey Uso wanted to compete against Gunther for the Intercontinental title, and he made his case for it, right? So, of course, Jey Uso and New Day picking up the victory. It relied heavily on 2 hot tags from Jey. Once Jey got the second hot tag in, kind of ran roughshod, got some licks in on Gunther, kind of teasing a little bit of what a match between them would be like. Gunther, of course, phenomenal as always. All 6 individuals in the match were, well decorated, well established talent. So that was great to watch. I really enjoyed this match myself. And of course, Jey picks up the victory on Vinci, not on Gunther, on Vinci. And then we get the announcement that he'll face Gunther for the Intercontinental title next week, which is odd. You would think it would be at Elimination Chamber, but next week tells me
you would
that
think
he's
so.
not. Yeah, next week tells me he's not going to win the title. So I don't know if they're going to try and use that. Maybe there'll be some shenanigans, some interference from Imperium, so that they can maybe stretch it out to WrestleMania. Because I really don't feel they're putting a lot of I don't want to say star power because they are, but I really feel like they're not giving it like 1,000% for Perth in Australia. I don't know. I don't know if folks don't want to travel out there, or maybe they just don't feel they're not going to get the views because this is going to be at 2 a.m. Eastern, U.S. time. So it's going to be very late night. But
It's gonna be
again,
in the middle of the night. I think it's 5 a.m. Eastern, so it's 2 a.m. Pacific. So for us, we're in Mountain. It would start at 3 a.m.
3.
And I'm like, I get you're not going to get a huge amount of visibility stateside. I mean, people will probably watch it later. I mean, they'll tune into the network and they'll watch it after it's already happened, but they won't watch it in real time.
Yeah, so that's maybe that's why, right? So who knows? I might be surprised. We'll see what happens. But again, I really did like this match. It was a fun match. The New Day and Jey hitting the 1D together, that was a nice little touch there. It was entertaining. I was wrestling entertained. After that, we had a Elimination Chamber qualifier with Bobby Lashley versus Bronson Reed. And I'm not going to lie, I thought Bronson Reed was going to win this one somehow, some way, through interference or whatever. Maybe from the Final Testament people, they were going to come out and interfere. Yeah. So that way, because it's in Australia, that's Bronson Reed's home turf. You'd think he'd get a spot in the chamber. Nah,
you would think
Lashley won in a very simple match. Not long. He just, won it. Much really on that after that. Yeah. What I did enjoy.
I mean, it was very run of the mill. It was very straightforward. And I was thinking when I saw the lineup, I was like, obviously Bobby Lashley's going to advance.
Right.
And then he did. Like would have been really surprised. Even though Bronson Reed, I mean, it would have been nice because it would have been like, home country kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I half expected Bobby Lashley was going to, like when you start seeing that lineup on the card. Same thing with LA Knight and Ivar. It was like, come on. Like, you really think Ivar is going to advance?
But so after that, we actually had a really good promo segment with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. I think that was interesting. One thing I made note of, though, was that the way he talked, right? Seth one of the things it kind of made me laugh again, goofy wrestling or silly wrestling. Over gimmicky. I love it because I think Cody was thanking Seth for helping him out, getting his back, whatever. And Seth said, "Oh, well, what else can I say but you're welcome?" And I'm like, the Maui line for the win, which was awesome. Typical Seth, just trolling. I thought that was great. Got a little pop out of me. But at the end of the day, pretty much Seth saying, look, man, you're going to be outnumbered. Saying he built the monster that is Roman Reigns. He didn't know that what he was going to become because he was the architect, whatever. But then he told me he was going to have his back and make sure that he's taken care of, which is odd to me because if I'm Triple H and I'm trying to involve The Rock in WrestleMania, but I don't want him, now that I know the crowd doesn't want it, I kind of feel like they're teasing into like maybe a night one, because for sure Cody and Roman is night 2 main event. That's a given. But I think maybe night 1 we might see Cody and Seth against The Rock and a member of the Bloodline, maybe even Roman. I don't know. I'm kind of guessing at that.
I don't know how they're. I'm not sure how they're going to handle it either. Yeah. Well, they keep teasing that there's going to be like a tag match between the four of them. And I'm like, how are you going to space that? Because obviously Seth is going to have whoever he's going to be facing, whoever's the winner of the Elimination Chamber is going to be facing off against Seth. So I'm like, you're not going to do both of those on night 2. He's not going to wrestle twice in one night. So I'm curious how they're going to work this one out.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say about this too, though, I felt like this was like the Seth Rollins going, hey, look, I know I was begging you to wrestle me, and I know that I made this big deal about how mine's the right world title, and it was the real world title and the working man's world title. But I agree with your decision. It's the right one. It was like one of those, hold on, let me clean this up because we got to move forward with the new plan. And so he was kind of like, you know what? No hard feelings, buddy. I can be your shield. And it was like that was a little strange for me.
It's almost like,
a little innuendos.
Don't remember what we did. Don't remember what we tried. Like, it's all good. Forget it.
It's like, I'm the only one. I'm the only one uniquely qualified to be your shield. And it was like, whoa, okay, Seth. Just try and buy him dinner first or something. That came off as a little much, but
it did. It did. But on the bright side, it looks like we might get a tag match. I'm not sure. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how they have that play out. That'll be interesting. After that, we had another Elimination Chamber qualifier, and Liv Morgan, Zoe Stark. That was, pretty cut and dry. There's Liv Morgan being booked pretty strong with her return, calling it her revenge era, kind of taking a nod out of the Taylor Swift era thing. But she was shown a little more aggressive against a normally aggressive Zoe Stark, which was interesting. And I think they're calling it Liv's Revenge Tour, but I'm looking at her to go far in the chamber match. We'll see. Will she win it? I don't think so, because I'll tell y'all after we finish everything. What I think I have a little prediction of my own later, but we had a Liv Morgan victory, good victory, decent match, fairly short match. Honestly, I don't think it went very long. After that, we had JD McDonough getting his comeuppance and R-Truth finally getting his hands on him legally, and they, pretty run-of-the-mill match, good fight. R-Truth, again, showing how amazingly talented and athletic he is. I think he's, 50? Yeah, he's just tearing 52. It up. 52, there you go, thank you. And he's just phenomenal shape, just tears it up there with JD McDonough. And afterwards, Judgment Day attempt to take out R-Truth for good, and DIY comes for the save. But the icing on the cake was backstage, where R-Truth thanked them, confusing DIY for DX.
That was pretty funny. Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and I was like, that was my favorite moment for the whole show. The show was a little slow for me. That was my favorite moment where he confused them for. He's like Heartbreak Kid, and he's like the game Triple H, and I was like, all right, R-Truth continues to be the best thing happening on WWE programming.
Yeah, he does. So I thought that was great. So I mean, we'll see. I think we heard there was going to be a 4-man tag match coming up between Judgment Day and DIY and Awesome Truth. So we'll see. I think next week Dominic Mysterio gets R-Truth, so we'll probably see some shenanigans. No, Dominic Mysterio is going to tag with R-Truth. I think R-Truth's going to turn on him, and then they'll turn into a 4-man tag. But we'll see. After that, Becky Lynch comes out channeling her inner 90s in her 90s style there, and coming out explaining how she had to miss her dad's funeral. She had to explain to her daughter, I mean, why her face is always beat up, and kind of give a great promo. Becky Lynch is always an amazing promo, and then of course she's interrupted by Nia Jax, who can't talk on the mic to save her freaking life, I swear. But she gives a typical heel promo, makes fun of her, mocks her, pretends to cry, all that good stuff. But of course, out comes a pissed off Rhea Ripley, ready to tear her head off, and they kind of just blow her off to the side. Somehow, Becky Lynch ends up with some lemonade, and it gets spilled all over when Nia splashes the two of them in the corner. A nice little comical thing there. But after that, not much. Just kind of trying to build the Elimination Chamber match and trying to build whoever wins is going to take on Rhea Ripley. So just kind of adding fuel to both fires. So overall, a pretty decent promo setup, I think.
It was a good promo setup. I thought that Nia Jax was the worst part of it, though. To your point, and that was the worst thing that was on Raw for me was Nia Jax, because she kind of came out and did this. Oh, I look up to you, but that went on too long. Like her doing the mocking thing where she was pretending to be sincere went on for like 30 seconds, and it was like do that for like 5 seconds and then pivot. So just everything about it was a little clunky. And then I was like, as soon as Rhea Ripley's music hit, and I was like, thank God that part's over. And then she stormed out, and they had the brawl in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I almost feel like if they're going to be pushing Nia, then give her a mouthpiece. Give her somebody that can talk.
Yeah.
Maybe just kind of be her manager or something. I'm not a fan. Sorry if you guys are Nia Jax fans, and not that Nia Jax will ever see this, but sorry, I'm just not a fan. Not a fan.
Yeah, I'm like, just in case the algorithm makes its way to Nia Jax, not a fan. Sorry.
But who knows? We'll see what happens. After that, we had another Elimination Chamber match. Again, this was the holy crap, we have an Elimination Chamber coming up with nobody in it. So they have LA Knight against Ivar. We all knew what was going to happen, especially if you noticed this time around in the beginning of the match when they introduced Ivar. They said Viking Raider Ivar, meaning his tag partner Eric should be coming back from injury relatively soon, and they're probably looking to put him back in the tag division again. So good to hear, but we'll see. But nothing phenomenal.
This is the funny part about this is there was no cameo from AJ Styles. So for the AJ Styles Elimination Chamber qualifier, LA Knight was ringside. LA Knight kind of cost him the match. I thought AJ was going to come down and try and cost him the match against Ivar, but there was no AJ. They wrestled each other straight up. It was actually a pretty good match between the two of them, but no interference. So that was a little weird to me. It felt like a lost opportunity. They just kind of glossed it over and was like, yeah, AJ Styles didn't show up. And then we saw AJ on Raw, or on Raw and SmackDown later on, feuding with his old running buddies in the OC. So it was like, oh, they just kind of brushed all of that aside and forgot about the fact that LA Knight basically cost AJ Styles his chance at Elimination Chamber, but there was like zero follow-up to it, which is a little strange.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm shocked that didn't happen. I kind of was expecting a little AJ Styles showing up, or maybe the OC to come out, because that is his faction, right? Well, for now, we'll see what happens. We'll talk about SmackDown
for now.
But yeah, it was odd. But then after that, we had everyone's favorite squash match. Everyone's favorite squashy, I should say, Sami Zayn, taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. Unfortunately, I know you talked about it a little bit. Sami was, slowly becoming that lovable face that unfortunately just can't get a victory. And so we had Shinsuke come out. Again, nothing really too crazy about this match. I don't feel it ran super duper long to begin with. I think it was just a basic match. I mean, Sami is amazing in the ring. He lets himself get distracted by Drew McIntyre, really oddly and awkwardly too, because Drew wasn't doing anything. His music didn't even hit. Right? Did his music hit?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he just like strolled down to the ring and that was it.
He was about to win with the Haluva kick, and then it's just like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? Like, no, dude, hit him. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, that Shinsuke didn't even use the mist. Like, he didn't have to use his mist.
Yeah.
Hit him with multiple Kinshasas and, took the victory. Very cut and dry.
Yeah, and it was cut and dry, and it really is like, I know I said it before, Sami Zayn's become like main event Sami Zayn, but he's the main event jobber, and he goes out and loses to everybody now. And that's where I don't understand. How does he keep getting booked in the main event every single week? Because he lost to Drew McIntyre on Raw. He lost to Randy Orton on SmackDown. Now he's over here losing to Shinsuke Nakamura, and they did like this whole weird like video, not video package, backstage or like in the arena where he was like, Sammy, you lose a lot. Are you going to turn it around tonight? And he's like, I need to believe in myself and all that. And then like the promo like appears on the screen with Shinsuke going, no, Sammy, you are a loser. And it was like, well, Shinsuke was right because he pre-called it. But like the whole thing is like Sammy's self-esteem, and then like backstage with Cody Rhodes and him like hugging it out and like, I believe in you. I believe in you too. I'm like, what are they setting this up? Is Sammy going to lose his mind and like flip, or like what's the lead into this? Because he just keeps losing. And
like
they keep doing this whole, he needs to believe in himself.
I think we're going to see a change.
I figure there must be.
Yeah, similar to like what happened with Pete Dunne when he was Butch, right? Like,
Yes, Pete Dunne. Yeah,
kind of like I can't seem to find myself. But the question is, who does he come back as, right? I mean, it's not like he can go be El Generico like he used to be out in the Indies, with the mask on and everything. Maybe we might see that. I don't know, but I don't know. I just never know. I mean, it's a shame because I really do like Sami Zayn. I think he's very entertaining. He's very athletic. I think people will forget how athletic Sami Zayn really is and how great of an in-ring worker that he is. And he can speak so well on the mic. It's a shame. Maybe he's just in booking purgatory for now while they figure out what to do with him, because they have so many moving pieces right now. Maybe this is just a placeholder, and maybe we'll see Sami Zayn thrive again. I would love to see him go for maybe the Intercontinental title, the U.S. title. I mean, either one of those. I know he already has, but maybe build a more proper story with either, and go from there. For the love of God, don't tag him up again. Let him be an individual or solo wrestler. But
they got to figure out something to do with him. I don't like these when you can't figure out what to do with somebody. You give him a self-esteem issue. So like Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne's having an identity crisis. Becky Lynch isn't sure if she's good anymore. Now it's Sami Zayn doesn't believe in himself. It's like maybe try something else versus just having them have the confidence fall apart. But we'll see. He's now lost 3-0. Oh, we'll see if he's in the main event next week.
Find out.
Oh, go ahead.
But yeah, I was just saying, whatever happened to the good old fashioned, like, hey, he just got the snot beat out of him. He's injured and he's gone for a couple months while we figure it out.
Yeah,
but who knows?
Yeah, when he comes back and reinvents himself after he disappeared from TV.
Yeah, exactly. But again, we'll see. Time will tell. After that, of course, after he lost, Drew comes in to, get the double team. Him and Shinsuke working together to beat down on Sami Zayn. And as could all anticipate, I mean, as the sky is blue, Cody Rhodes comes out to save Sami, kind of like a copy-paste reverse of what happened the week prior. But Cody comes in, takes down Drew, and now we have next week Drew against Cody Rhodes, which should be a good match. Should be a good match to see.
Should be a good match.
Time will tell.
Drew against Cody Rhodes, and it'll be the go home show before Elimination Chamber. So that's going to be an interesting one, and that should be a good match, and hopefully a good main event without Sami Zayn. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I agree, but we'll see. Who knows? But that was it. That was Raw in a nutshell. A pretty average show. I give it a C more or less, just because it's not much happened. We had the qualifier matches.
Not a lot happened. Yeah, and it did feel like they're kind of rushing in the qualifiers to get them all done. Cringiest moment for me was Shayna Baszler talking about how she wants to tear somebody apart limb by limb. Again, she does that. That's like her thing. She's like, I'm going to tear them apart limb by limb. And she says it very slowly when it's supposed to. I think the expression is actually, you're going to tear somebody limb from limb, not limb by limb. But she says it limb by limb. And I'm always think, wow, for somebody who's always threatening to mangle and disfigure people, she sure does lose a lot, doesn't she? Because Shayna Baszler is going to lose to everybody now. But she sure loves to threaten to tear people to pieces. Anyways, but that was the dishonorable mention from Raw.
Well, that was a little bit, I guess, a little more entertaining.
I think so. So I mean, the it was kind of more of the same. Like opened with an Elimination Chamber qualifier match, which was Dominic Mysterio versus Kevin Owens. Good. This one was a good match, as good as it could be. I think. Probably the best part of it was R-Truth coming down during the match. And then he was ringside. This was kind of confusing, though, because this is one thing with R-Truth that I haven't liked very much, because he came out and he was like mistaking KO for The Miz.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it was funny when you did it with Ciampa and Gargano, mistaken for DX. Like, he's been the Miz's tag team partner forever, and he like has been talking to him like the last several weeks. So why, unless he actually has dementia, why would he be thinking that KO was the Miz? Like, he knows the Miz too well. So that one kind of fell flat with me, where I was like I get it if it's somebody that you haven't interacted with very much, because that's one of his running shticks. But he knows the Miz really well. Like, he called the Miz on the phone and to try to get help on Raw. So that was strange, but I didn't think it was funny when Dom asked him for the chair, so he pulled up the chair and sat down in it.
Yes,
And then
beautiful.
KO hit that was great. KO hit the pop-up power bomb for the win, which was nice. It was nice not to see him win with a stunner. He won with the pop-up power bomb. And then he did advance in Elimination Chamber, which just left one men's match left, which was also later on SmackDown for the men's qualifiers. We had a Drew McIntyre segment backstage with LA Knight, adding to the long list of people Drew's feuding with, because I was like, wait a minute, so you're feuding with LA Knight now? Like, we already did this rundown of everybody that Drew McIntyre is talking crap to. Apparently, he's added LA Knight to the list, which is fine, because I guess they'll both see each other in the Elimination Chamber, because they both qualified for the Elimination Chamber. And that's a teaser for that. Next thing was a qualifier match, Zelina Vega versus Tiffany Stratton for the women's Elimination Chamber. Tiffany Stratton ended up winning this one, which a little surprised there, just because I know they're trying to push her pretty hard. She's just made her SmackDown debut. She hit the prettiest moonsault. You had some ringside shenanigans from Santos Escobar and his folks. They didn't really do anything other than just kind of stand there and wave. And then Carlito and Joaquin Wilde and who's the other buddy? I'm trying to remember his name. Joaquin Wilde and the other one. I don't know why. Yeah, I was like, Joaquin, why is his name escaping me? I'm sure we'll remember his name. But they
Cruz del Toro.
But Cruz del Toro. So they just kind of walked around, like nobody really interfered, and then Zelina Vega lost, and Tiffany Stratton ended up advancing. There was
almost like the NWO forgot Pete Dunne and stay out at ringside.
Yeah, because they left. Because it was funny. They came out and they waved,
off, and then they're like bye, and then they're like, oh crap, we're supposed to be on ringside. Then they come out like, just hey, like, oh, we see you. Like,
hey, wait a second, these guys, like Santos and his crew, actually bought tickets because they were sitting in seats up front, so they were like just sitting in the front row. So that whole thing was kind of odd, but and I think it was the justification for Tiffany Stratton, like distraction. That's really why she beat Zelina Vega, but she's also really good. And then she's going to be in the Elimination Chamber match. We'll see. I'm sure she'll have a big spot. I'm sure she'll hit the prettiest moonsault from the top of one of the chamber pods or something. That'll probably end up happening. And then Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate had a little backstage segment. I guess their new name's the New Catch Republic is what their team's name is now. That was a little strange. I don't know if I like it or not. What do you think, Big D?
I mean, I don't love it. I think it's one of those names.
That I didn't love it either.
It's one of here. I'll put it to you like this. Excuse me. It's one of those things. Sorry, I wasn't trying to be dramatic. I had something in my throat, but it's one of those things. That, it will depend on what the merch looks like for me, whether I like the name or not. Because I'll be honest, when Judgment Day first debuted with Edge, I was not a fan of the name. I thought it was a little hokey, until. Then I started seeing like the graphics, and I started seeing like the spin, the way the visualization. That's what I should say. The visualization of the name and what it means. That's what I'm like, okay, I get it now. So who knows? I mean, time will tell. But for me right now, I'm not in love with it. But it could be worse. It could be worse.
Yeah. I mean, it was just kind of like when he said it, I was like, oh, that's a little underwhelming. And he's like, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. New Catch Republic, and Pete Dunne's like, and I'm like, does he love it? Because he doesn't seem like I don't love it, but all right, like we'll see how this goes. And they're going to be wrestling Dom and JD next week. Mustache Mountain. That's what I thought it was going to be, Mustache Mountain. And he goes, they're going to be facing Dom and JD next week, I guess before Elimination Chamber, because they're going for the tag titles at Elimination Chamber. So that'll be like the warm up match next week. Yeah. You had AJ Styles with his backstage confrontation with the OC, where they're like, "What's going on, man? Where have you been? What's going on? You keep disrespecting us." And then they kind of tussled a little bit, specifically Carl Anderson, where AJ Styles gave him the old pimp slap. And so I'm sure that will rear its ugly head again next week. But that was really it. They just kind of, I think there was always those awkward backstage segments with them before, so nothing new.
Yeah.
And then we got an Authors of Pain and Final Testament squash match that didn't really feel like it needed to be there. Like I was like, we've seen AOP squash everybody. Like we know what they're all about. And so first off, they were rocking shoulder pads for some reason. I don't know if I just didn't notice it. I thought they just wore the vests, and then this time they had like the Wish version of Legion of Doom shoulder pads on the top of them, and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. And then they went out there and squashed Javier Bernal and Bo Morris.
Yeah,
we're just like standing there just as cannon fodder, and that match was probably over in 20 seconds. Like it was really fast. They just went after him, hit the Super Collider, and that was it.
Well, I kind of disagree. I feel the squash match was a tad bit necessary, just because it's been a while since folks have seen AOP in action. I know we saw them do the beat down to the Street Profits and all that good stuff, right? But I kind of feel that this was just a little something for them to, get their feet wet. But what irks me, that's not the squash match that bothers me. What really bothers me is we don't know, for a company that's about storylines, I don't know why Final Testament doesn't like the Almighty or whatever they call themselves. Like, why are they beefing?
Yeah, Almighty Bobby Lashley company
and Bobby Lashley beefing. Why? What is the story? Why do they hate each other? Why are they? They're not building to anything. Like, and that's what's annoying. No. I don't know if they're waiting for Elimination Chamber to be done, but I'm just like, it would be nice to know why. Because here's the thing: Final Testament debuted, and you have Karrion Kross, AOP, and you have Scarlett. And then, of course, you have, excuse me, you have on the other side of it, you're going to have Lashley, Street Profits, and then they're like, oh, we need a female to go at with. So BFAP came in. Okay, great. Yeah. Now it's evened up. Paul Ellering, great manager. Where's the story? What's happening? Yeah. Why are they beefing? I don't know why, and I just want to know why. The squash match was cool. Okay, fine. I was okay with it. But I'm more not okay with the fact that it's like, why? Like, what's the beef? Is there a story? Is it just Karrion Kross wanted to park somewhere and Lashley took his spot? I don't know. But at least make it something. I mean, who knows? Maybe Lashley took Kross's protein shake. I don't know. But
we'll never know. Probably at this rate, we'll never know.
To justify. I mean, this is just odd. Especially for WWE being so story driven. Like, why don't we have a storyline? I mean, at this point, just make one up if you don't have one. But I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's something. What bothers me. No, I mean, it's a valid point. And I think the squash match just bugged me because I watched AOP when they debuted the first time, and it was just a bunch of squash matches. Yeah, and so I was kind of like, like I've seen this before. This is old hat, but maybe not for some. Maybe some people have tuned in since then. When AOP was absent, and they're just, hey, let's reintroduce them. And then we got the Damage Control and Io Sky doing their promo where they're threatening Bayley and all that good stuff. So we got a promo from them. We got a backstage with Bayley. And gosh, what is her?
Dakota Kai.
What is her name? The British one. I'm sorry. Dakota Kai.
The Kiwi. She's
the Dakota Kiwi. Yeah. Dakota Kai and Bayley backstage, and just kind of like, hey, I don't trust you. You need to trust me. They're going to kill me. And then Bayley's like, well, I don't know if I trust you or not. And that was it. And it was like, okay, so Bayley doesn't know if she trusts Dakota Kai yet, which is fine. You had the backstage scene. One of the dumber things that happened during SmackDown was they had the dressing room of the Bloodline with the door that says the Bloodline. And they're all like getting the VIP treatment. And you have people like bringing lobster and steaks in there. And it's like, really? Like, what are we, 12? Or like, okay, how do you make the people of Salt Lake City hate the Bloodline? Well, let's have people bringing them lobster and steak while they're waiting. And it was like, okay. It was just so cheesy. I kind of laughed a little bit when I saw that. And we're like, they're living the good life, the VIP treatment. So yeah, that little silly scene to get your appetite ready for later. And then you got The Miz versus Logan Paul in another qualifier match. with Logan Paul defeating The Miz, which this one for me, actually, I thought as far as matches go, was probably my favorite match of the night in terms of enjoyability. As much as it pains me to say that because I don't like saying anything nice about Logan Paul, this one was actually really good. There was a lot of great spots in it. Logan Paul is obviously a really good athlete. I think it was pretty obvious they were going to advance him just because he gives them a little bit of star power heading into Elimination Chamber for a card that feels a little lacking and understated, and it feels like it's been under the radar. I think they feel like he gives it a little bit of a social media bump. I don't think he'll win it, obviously, but Logan Paul advances.
Yeah, and see, it hurts me too. But again, a great performer in the ring. You know, he had some great spots. He really did. Miz, of course, underrated by anyone that says he's not great. And the Miz showing why. I know that they say it on commentary as part of his gimmick about being a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he would be on the Hall of Fame. Miz has amazing talent, and so does Logan Paul, which is frustrating because I can't stand Logan Paul. But his in-ring work is so clean and so good. It's just amazing, right? But yeah, it was good. I thought it was a great match. I enjoyed it. Doing the we did the STO to beat the Miz, and then holds up the U.S. title. Of course, anyone that's a champion going into this type of match, they're going to lose. One, they got a title on their back. They got not title. They have a bullseye on their back, and there's no point in having somebody like him be able to challenge Seth. There's bigger storylines with other people that are in the match. So, but fun match. It was also my match of the night.
Yeah, it was a fun match, and then after that, after that there was the one more match. Okay, this is something that I don't like about SmackDown now, is that rather than having a main event, now it's all right, everybody, it's time for the one more match of the night.
Oh yes,
sponsored by like whatever bank it is.
That's
and it's like thing. It's such an after. It's not a main event.
No.
Yeah, I'm like this is not a main event. Like it was Naomi versus Alba Fire for elimination chamber for the women's match. Should not have been the main event, obviously. And they did the same thing the week before, where it was like, oh, this shouldn't be the main event either. Yeah. The main event is really the promo at the end. And so Naomi, of course, spoiler alert, advanced to the elimination chamber. I'm sure everyone saw it. As well she should have. Alba Fire definitely was like, when you saw it, you're like, she's not going to go to the elimination chamber. It's obviously going to be Naomi.
Well, she was a fill-in.
But it was okay. I'm sorry?
She was a fill-in, actually.
Yeah.
Because the original
she was a villain.
opponent...
What do you mean?
Yeah, because... who was it supposed to be? They announced it prior. It was supposed to be... it wasn't supposed to be Alba Fire.
It was supposed to be somebody else? Yeah, see, I didn't see who the original opponent was supposed to be, which would have made sense.
That's why. But I mean, yeah, I agree. It shouldn't have been the main event, especially if they knew they had to bump in somebody else. Yeah, I would have.
Yeah, well, but that's how SmackDown's been approaching it now, where they're like, the main event's just the one more match. Hey, everybody, there's just one more match left, and then it's something pretty understated, and then they have a big in-ring promo to close the show. Which obviously everyone was waiting for The Rock and Roman Reigns. That was your main event, which once this match was over with, he was Roman Reigns and Rock promo. And basically it was just Roman comes down and calls the crowd stupid and then introduced The Rock. And The Rock came down and ran down the crowd. And this was all good. I'm not saying anything. This was all good. This was classic heel Rock stuff where he was, gave the attendance record for the Salt Lake City. The biggest attendance record ever, and saying this is the largest collection of trailer trash ever. Like it was pretty hilarious. He made a lot of polygamy jokes because it's Utah, obviously. So he made a lot of polygamy jokes. Just great heel stuff. And then talked about how the fans ruined the greatest WrestleMania in history. He officially aligned with the Bloodline. Kind of all saw that coming, but this was all really good stuff. They've really steered into The Rock just being a jerk, which started when the night opened up. They had this segment where he drives up into the parking lot in the Ford Raptor, and then he parks across like 2 parking spaces. Like he does like the ultimate like douche move, where he's like, oh, he's parked uneven across 2 parking spaces, and then gets out. And I'm like, they're really like just do everything heel. So that's why I said it's like a 12-year-old was like, hey, write this. He's a bad guy. Well, let's have him park across 2 parking spaces. Yeah, he's a real jerk, huh? Let's have him order steak and lobster before the match. Yeah, that guy's a real jerk, huh? So it's like it's a little too on the nose for me with some of the stuff that they're doing, but all of The Rock's segment was hilarious and great, and I thoroughly enjoyed it for what it was.
I agree. And just one thing, I just real quick before I have a lot to say about this one, but the back to the Naomi match, it was Shotzi who she was supposed to fight. Okay. It was Shotzi, but Shotzi got hurt, so Alba Fire stepped in. And one thing I will say that I'm liking is that they let her use her TNA submission. I think it was called Star Power, but now they're calling it Feel the Glow. That submission, that crucifix submission that she did, that's her TNA finisher, which is great. You know, they're not making them revert back to their old moves, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, so not to Naomi for that. I thought that was awesome. But one thing that I noticed, I wanted to point out, I knew it was going to be a great Rock promo, not only because it's The Rock and I think he's amazing, but
of course,
the vest he wore out. It was almost like if he took his 98 when he was in the Nation of Domination, when he came back as Hollywood Rock, and just cut the sleeves off because it doesn't close anymore. Because he's so big now than what he used to be. And I don't mean big as in, like me big, but I think like he's bulkier, right? And so
he's pretty yoked up. I mean,
and the fact that he turned around to show off the logo, it was like that Versace silk that he used to wear. That was a little, and the sunglasses, obviously now more modernized sunglasses. They're not the, the old little thinner square ones that used to be the rave back then. So yeah, it was interesting to see, 13, 14-year-old me was like, yes, it's like the old school Rock. Yeah. But I did laugh when Roman was like, acknowledge me. And he's like, you know what? You guys are idiots. And I was like, I laughed. It's fine. But The Rock just, laid into everybody and everything. But if you notice, a couple of things I wanted to point out. When The Rock was doing a lot of his promo, I have to go back and watch, but I think someone was pointing out to me, I want to say it was my buddy Pulpo, him and I were talking about it, when he's talking about making sure that you leave WrestleMania a loser, when he was pointing, it almost looked like he was pointing at Roman. And when he did the ones up, he did an L. He didn't do a 1, he did an L. And it could be because he's trying to tell everyone, like, screw you or whatever. But it was very subtle the way he did it, But, and I'm looking at the still image right now. They all have their 1s and he has the L. And that kind of got the curiosity going, right? Like why those two little things that kind of stood out to me. And I went back and rewatched after, I got the idea there, and I was like, let me go back and rewatch the segment. So I'm going to have to watch it on WWE.com because, it's probably the best full version. I mean, I know it's edited, but it got the gist of it, right? And I mean, when he's talking about, you making sure you leave, a loser or whatever, it looked like he was pointing at Roman because they were off to the side facing The Rock. They weren't side by side with him. It's kind of giving me old like Nation of Domination vibes when The Rock took over the Nation. He came in as like part of it, and he's saying part of the bloodline, claiming he's part of the bloodline. I like it. I've always said bloodline is one of the best things going in wrestling right now. But it was interesting to see that, and it was interesting. I go back and I rewatch like the little things because again, The Rock is very old school. If he's gonna lay out little teasers, there's little Easter eggs in like almost everything he says, right? And I think that kind of was interesting. I might have to go back again and rewatch it a third time and see what the deal was with that. But it was good to see. I love seeing this heel version of The Rock. I've always been a fan of heel Rock, especially Hollywood heel Rock. That was awesome. I wonder if he's going to turn his back on Roman and kind of turn the bloodline against him, kind of make it seem like you failed us or whatever. And I'm hoping, right? My hope is that Cody does take the title off of Roman. And that's going to create a whole nother whirlwind of impact to Roman Reigns. And The Rock's involved, so we'll see how long he'll be involved for that. But a lot to take in.
And that's interesting because I didn't pick up on any of that. So that's a pretty interesting take on it. And then now I got to go back and watch and rewatch it and see. Is there a hint at The Rock's just kind of playing along right now, and there's going to be a turn at WrestleMania?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, who knows?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. But and then before that, we got a awkward Braun Breaker signing to SmackDown on the rampway.
Yeah, I forgot about that. The Braun Breaker sign. Well, it was more awkward because it was Braun Breaker and Jade Cargill. So we got a Jade Cargill sighting for like 2 seconds, and she's back there with Nick Aldis. And it was like, oh, Tiffany Stratton came back and was like talking trash, and then Jade was like, oh, you're interfering with my business. And then it looked like he was signing Jade Cargill and Braun Breaker.
Hmm.
And then after that, he walks out and goes, hey, I'm trying to sign the best talent, and I've signed Braun Breaker. And Braun Breaker walks out. I was like, well, what about Jade Cargill? Like, it looked like you signed both of them, and you were working on that, and then you just signed Braun, and then he just kind of walked out, and that was very strange to me. And I'm like,
Hmm.
so what's the teaser here? Is Jade going to get
So,
signed next week and get the
yes.
last elimination spot? I'm assuming that would have to be what's
Yes,
going to happen.
that's exactly what I was going to tell you is going to happen. So that's my little prediction here. So
Okay.
what's going to happen here is you're going to have, I think they announced it already. I'm trying to go back and look to see if they've announced it already. But next week there's going to be a women's battle royal for all the women that lost their qualifier matches for the chamber for the last spot. And it's going to be a battle royal. Jade Cargill will be the surprise entrant in that battle royal, and she will win it. And she will go on to Perth and join the Elimination Chamber match. Now, I'm not saying it as one of my predictions that I love making, but I say this because WWE accidentally released a poster for the Women's Elimination Chamber
Really?
match, and it had Jade Cargill on it. And they took it down like
Oh, gosh.
almost like shortly after. It was very brief that it was up, but it was up. And I was like, so Jade's going to be the last minute entrant. It sounds like she's going to be on SmackDown because it looks like, I think Fox gets all the bigger signings just because it's on Fox.
Yeah.
It's a broader audience than cable on USA, right? And plus, Raw's going to Netflix anyway. So I think they're just going to push it
Yeah.
on Fox. So, yeah, I think what's going to happen is next week there's going to be a women's battle royal for the last spot, and it's going to be it's like a second chance battle royal. But Jade Cargill's going to be the surprise entrant, and she's gonna win that one, and then she'll be at Perth with the Elimination Chamber match. And I mean, it'd be nice to see her win it. That'd be a good way to fast track her.
Yeah.
in. But I mean, who knows? There's so many different storylines going around with the Women's Elimination Chamber match. I mean, there's, of course, you have Naomi making her comeback, Tiffany Stratton getting pushed, Becky Lynch trying to find herself. I don't think Becky's going to win.
I don't think
Bianca
Becky's gonna win
Belair, I don't think Bianca will either. And then let me see. The final entrant is who's the final entrant? Bianca. Oh, Liv Morgan. Sorry, Liv Morgan would be the next entrant. I could see Liv Morgan going far in it.
Yeah, she'll go far. I don't think Liv's going to win it though.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
Like, I feel like if Jade's in it, you got to have Jade win it.
you have
Like,
to.
you've got to,
A great match for her to showcase.
especially since. No, go ahead.
Yeah, it would be a good match for her to showcase her strength, and just ragdoll people and throw them around in the chamber. But I mean, who
Yeah.
knows?
Well, and that's where I say, like, okay, so at the Royal Rumble, the final three entrants were Bailey, Liv Morgan, and Jade Cargill. And Liv Morgan eliminated Jade from the Rumble. So I'm like, okay, I would think you'd have Jade beat her at Elimination Chamber now, so she doesn't get over on her twice.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how that. And it's funny. That's what I was hoping they were going to do. And if WWE accidentally spoiled it, and that she is going to be part of the Chamber match, awesome. Because I have been waiting for Jade to come.
We've been asking.
to come back and see her more than just we've been asking and begging for it. Thank goodness. Hopefully this all works out. Hopefully that's not there's not a swerve at the last second and they take her out of the plans. But we shall see. So that'd be good news it'd be
I
good
hope
news
they
if she's
don't.
on Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I hope they don't take it back. I hope they're not like, oops, take it back. And I really hope not, because
Yeah.
it would be nice. I think it's a nice surprise. I know it was an oops, but at the end of the day, it's a good oops. It's a good one.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. So
It
I don't
certainly
know.
is.
We'll see.
Nice. Well, and yeah, that was SmackDown this week. I would say I kind of give it like a B, C show. Like, it was okay. Like, the Rock segment was all pretty good. All the matches were pretty good. So I'll give it a B. I'll be a little bit more generous there.
Yeah.
That it was definitely better than Raw, but it definitely feels like there's this lull of them just trying to get all the pieces into position for Elimination Chamber, and they were trying to do it in an abbreviated fashion because they changed so many things with the storyline because of Cody and The Rock. So, but it was good, and then we'll see what happens this week on Raw and SmackDown as we lead into the Elimination Chamber, which will happen in the middle of the night. So that'll be an interesting how we'll time the watch time on that one.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's it for our recap for this week. We made it through it, even though we're both a little under the weather. And hopefully next week we'll be back with voices that are back up to snuff. So thank
Yes.
you for enduring it. Thank you for all the support as always. Continuing to see the views and the subscribers going up every single week. So we appreciate all the support. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts and opinions as well. And we look forward to seeing you all once again. So we'll catch you all next week and have a great rest of your weekend. Belong.
See you guys.